just all the ones where people got attacked. I was like, you're like they're completely in their right for attacking you. And then a guy got a gun pulled on him, and the guy's like, chill, chill, man, it's just divine, it's just divine.
Yeah,
I
that's
remember there was one video of these guys going around pulling up the pants of certain individuals who.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember
wear
that.
them well.
We're live!
When
Oh
they
yeah,
went to
we
go
are
do it
live.
on this one person. A gun fell out of the guy's pocket, and
ooh,
things escalated
Mhm.
predictably.
See, me and my friends just went around and punched each other in the nuts.
I'm sure that's not affecting your sperm motility at all.
We're live though, so that's
I haven't
there's
had a
some
girlfriend in years, so it don't matter.
alternative challenges for you guys if you ever want to get started on those. Anyways, welcome to the Ilderon Tales. This is Group A, The Sky of Wolves, Episode 1. The only player we are missing tonight is Justin. He fell asleep, and we got tired of waiting on him. That said, he might join later. If not, I'll catch him up after the session.
We're gonna break his legs.
We have
Twice.
some new characters, some new players, and some old characters, and old players, yeah, coming back. So, oh man, let me close this on YouTube, because I don't need that open. We'll go from, since it's session 1, we'll let everybody introduce themselves and the characters they're playing. Just say your name, the character you're playing, and you can give as much or as little information about the character as you like. We're going from left to right on roll 20, starting with JD, Wesley 2nd, Anthony 3rd, Kaylee 4th, and Riley 5th. Hit it, JD.
Alright. I'm JD. I'll be playing Malik, the Tiefling Fighter Sorcerer. He's going to be seeing a pretty large dynamic shift, so this should be a fun first session back.
Alright, then we got Wesley.
my name's Weston. I'm playing Royak Grave Warden, the Aarakocra cleric, embodiment of insanity, and pretty much the worst cleric ever.
Then we have Anthony.
I'm Anthony. I traded out my old character for a new one. I will be playing Soulmane Darkstride, the half-elf rogue, who may or may not have been a part of the previous excursion.
Alright, then we have Kaylee.
I'm Kaylee. I'm playing the Tiefling Noble Sorceress Elsie. I plan a lot for her, like, her whole goal in this game is going to be finding somebody very special. And it's not Malik.
Malik is special, just in a different way.
Well, yeah, she's okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna be cryptic because I gotta talk to you anyway. But yeah, I hope to find her brother this game.
Oh my god!
I mean, I feel like that's a low blow, but alright.
And then we have Riley.
I play Rook. He's a goblin cleric that's maniacally evil.
Alright. And I am Brandon, and I am drinking heavily, so that's how I'm getting through this
okay,
one.
we're allowed to say that now.
No, I'm kidding.
With this script, that's not surprising.
I'm about to say, we may or may not have something to do with that.
Anyways, I will read the introduction for your guys' campaign, and we will dive right in. Wretched hive of scum and villainy. Villainy? Yeah, we'll go with that one.
Villainy.
Yeah. What started with the downfall of Westwind crescendoed into the assassination of the celestial magnate of Arter Sarai. The exiled summoner, Elena Ladelia, tracked down a powerful earthfire weapon and unleashed it in the capital to distract her enemies. Unfortunately, a circle of vampires known as the Twilight Fang were not easily distracted. Unsure of what her true motivations were, the Twilight Fang banded together and gave Elena an ultimatum. Flee the country and never return, or die? Or flee the country and never return, or die. That was the ultimatum. That night, in the midst of the attacks happening across the city, the vampire struck with full force against Elena and her mercenaries. The resulting fight cost the life of Titrith Broadside and nearly the life of Lumigrak Soulheart a second time. But with Titrith's sacrifice, the party was able to flee from the capital. Certain the party would not survive another encounter with the vampires should the Twilight Fang pursue them, Elena was resolved to find her missing bodyguard, Terrorcry. She turned her attention north to the bustling port city of Gwir to contact a nearby ally, Tengu the Fifth Ascended. With any luck, she hopes to use the cult's followers and resources to track down her companion before continuing her travels north to the Earthfire of Sarai's Dawn. Gwir is a grand city filled with foreign gladiators, travelers from all over the region, and merchants from across the world. Elena's success depends on if her lackeys can keep a low enough profile and not catch the attention of the Twilight Fang or any would-be adventurers. Spoiler warning, they can't.
It's like, oh, Brandon, why did you do that to yourself?
Their story begins in Gwir. Alright, so, I'm gonna zoom in on the world a little bit, from back here. Yeah, just to show you guys, where Gwir is. I am going to circle it with, I can't use red, because red's all over this map. I'm gonna circle it with orange, with the orange arrow. Gwir is that city, and nestled between the mountains in that bay, in northern Ardor Sarai. You guys are just north of the capital and just east of a major crossroads town called Darindar.
Darn.
What do you mean, darn?
Darn.
I mean, you said it first.
Oh, it is. It is Dar Endar. It is kind of a depressing name.
That's a very pretty picture, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I didn't make it. Anyways,
Is there a kraken in the top right corner?
it's a map prettier. But yeah, you don't know what lurks out in the northern sea. Most people sail the coasts. Anyways, for Gwir, the city is built around a bay and an island. There is a portion of the city that exists completely floating over the bay. That extends to the island and forms kind of a safe area in the inner bays of Gwir. It is a major port city, and a huge part of the city, too, is also built on an archway that connects to the central island. There are many, many pockets of town here, and there is pretty much action anywhere you can find it in Gwir. There is just a quick summary of the town, and we'll dive into what you guys are doing. There is the south section of town, and if you guys end up staying here long enough, I'll do it like we...
I saw it, but I didn't want to bring attention while Brandon was talking.
Wow. There's the south part of town. That is called Southport. It's where most merchants congregate. There is the Grand Market. It is one of the largest trading hubs in Ardor Sarai. There is Kaiori. This is the island here. It is one of the central attractions of Gwir. On Kaiori is the Gwir Arena, which is one of the most popular places to watch blood sport happen. And people from all over the world come to fight in the famous arena here. The northern part of town, Northport, is devoted to the Royal Army and maintaining the one of the main parts of the Ardor Navy. This area is Kyrian Bay. It is where the Chantry of Unity is, and is also, actually no, I can't say that last part. And then this is called the Squeezeway. It is
Always a good time when your GM says, "I can't tell you that."
yeah. I'm just looking at my notes and trying to go quickly over it. That is the Squeezeway. It is a bunch of buildings nestled together on the arch that leads towards, or that's connected to the island in the center of the bay. The arch is high enough that some small ships can sail underneath it. It's also high enough that people getting pushed off of it would probably die, but it's a rare occurrence. Anyways, yeah, so you guys are here. I put all this on that layer. Wow, kill me.
That feels.
Yeah, I thought I put that on the map layer, but yeah. We'll just put all that, yeah, to the map layer, and can we... Yeah, we can. There we go. Boom. Alright. Oh, and there is a wall around Gwir, by the way. The outside of Gwir. If you guys go to any of the other parts of town, I will tell you as they become relevant, of stuff there and all that other shenanigans. Alright, so your guys' story starts in Kyrian Bay, just before, or just as the Squeezeway connects back down with the main land of Gwir. Walking off that main road of houses, there is a shrine looking towards the Chantry of Unity. However, while modeled as a religious building, it seems to be closed, as it is now a storehouse. You guys and Elena are standing outside of it. By the way, Elena has hired some additional muscle, replacing the numbers you guys lost. So standing outside the door of this temple is Malik, Elsie, Soulmane, a rather ambitious goblin fellow joining you. Did I say Elsie already?
You did.
Okay, who am I missing? Oh,
Woody.
yeah, Woody is there, and then you guys will get a chance to meet Wesley's character. All right, so as you guys are stepping onto the steps to the door of this abandoned building, Elena is going to turn to you and say, so this contact of mine, he's a part of my circle. It's the Fifth Ascendant. I'm sure you've heard about the people that follow him and the others that he recruits. It's all a specific plan of our master. She turns and knocks...
Real quick question, Brandon.
Yes.
How much time has passed?
I always forget to do that. It is the 10th of Priestess. This it has been 12 days since the last session.
Okay.
She knocks on the door. A man cracks it open, looks at all of you, and says, "Your presence is. The supplies are many. Your presence isn't needed."
Who is it?
He closes the door. Elena puts a hand on it and says, "But we hunger." He looks at her again and then opens the door and nods for everyone to come in. She walks by into the building. It is completely dark inside of here.
Okay, tell me what I see with my dark vision.
You see... Oh... I don't know if your dark vision helps in magical darkness.
It does not.
Yes, you see darkness.
Okay.
Elena walks in and nearly disappears behind this guy.
Okay. Then I will wander in behind her.
Alright, does everybody else follow in?
Yeah, but we hesitant now.
Alright, as the door shuts behind you guys, it becomes near impossible to know where you're walking. A hand on each of your shoulders places your hand on the person in front of you. And with practice steps, the man walks around you guys, leading you through 2 rooms before you're eventually in a nearly empty chapel area. Elena looks back to him and says, "Extra precautions of magical darkness? It's already warded against scrying." The man shakes his head and says, one of our recruiting bases got hit in Ardor." She nods and says, "Alright, where's Tengu?" He points into the chapel. Tengu, or rather, there is a man on stage of conjuring what seems to be darkness as flames. They are flames, but they don't. They're not radiating any type of light. Next to him is the strangest, most foreign bird person you have ever beheld. As he is conjuring these flames together, Lena exhales and says, "Found himself a new apprentice, I see."
Like his apprentice to no one.
You guys, or rather, Elena begins approaching the stage, and Tengu is talking to Roak, and says, "This is actually quite advanced Rhycraft. Once you master it, people who are willing to give your souls can become your thrall, and you can empower them. You call yourself a Dark Prince, but you could be a Dark King with this."
Are you insinuating that my powers are not omnipotent?
He nods and says, "You're no god yet, but I can teach you to be."
Roak will think on this.
He nods, looking towards Elena, coming in. He smiles briefly before it turns to a scowl, and he says, "Where's your dog?" She looks down and says, "I was hoping to ask you the same question."
You guys hear me?
I can.
Sorry, my thing went crazy on my computer, so I just switched to my phone.
He steps off the stage, walking past Elena, looking between the party. Immediately, Woody and Malik are going to snap to. They've seen this guy before.
Oh, really?
Yes. Woody failed the history check. Malik can roll it, DC 12.
12, huh? I don't know if I can make that.
Would you believe me if I told you Woody rolled an 8 also?
I would. E.
Yeah, you guys have seen this guy before. You definitely can't place it. Or rather, you're having trouble placing it. Nonetheless, he's going to look over you guys and taking a second to study Malik and Woody, and say, and you found yourself some recruits, ones that show promise. I've seen these two before. Lena, standing still very stiff, looking forward, is going to say, yes, well, I actually need more recruits. I want as many hands as possible looking for Terra Cry. We were attacked, and I need him to do his job. He takes a minute and kind of chews on his lip and says, so you're gonna need me to pick up his slack. This will not make the master happy. Still looking forward, she says, I know, but the Earthfire will be ours. We'll capture it and leave this, and trust me, all I need is just, if you can give me maybe a couple dozen of your followers, and I can send them out over the region. He shakes his head and says, no. I will give you one to groom. And looks at Roic and says, this one doesn't serve me as I'd like. He's a bird that isn't to be caged. You need somebody to fight? Elena nods. He gestures towards Roic and says, well then, the Prince of Darkness, Lord of Pestilence, which name was it that you gave me?
Yes.
He nods and says, he shall be sufficient then. Lena steps forward to him and says, no, you don't understand, Tengu. There are 4 vampire lords after me. He seems very disinterested and says, and I think that's why your part of the job was to keep a low profile. She seems very unsatisfied with this. Looking at him with just a completely disgruntled expression and says, if I fail, we fail. He shakes his head and says, well then, you'd better not fail. She bites her lip, looking very angry, and looks to her gathered group of mercenaries and says, "Come on, let's go. We'll find him." Elena begins to walk out.
Grillback is supposed to go with this woman.
Tengu nods and says, "Yes, but should you decide should you decide a apprenticeship is in your best interest, I am happy to teach students who have promise."
Nice.
Work will follow. There's always time.
I suppose there's killing to be had.
Who was that to again?
No one. Maybe later when we're done I can lure some children.
Malik grunts, but offers nothing further.
All right. As soon as you guys are outside, walking along the underside of the squeezeway, Elena puts her hands together and just in a choking motion and says, "Ah! I could strangle him. He thinks just because he's been touched by the forest witch once that he's just some all-powerful god."
Is he not?
I'm up to strangling.
Sorry, that's not Malik's tone. Is he not?
Elena shakes her head and says, "No, he's been touched by corrupted magic. Some that can't be manipulated, but he could still very much die."
I mean, I'm all in for the strangling. That's an option.
We don't appear to have many allies at this point in time. Perhaps murdering them is probably our least good idea.
Yeah, it's just so you random murdered children. Random murdered children. I can't talk. I'm just...
Elena is going to put her hand up and say, "Malik's right. We need to keep the murder down for now. At least until we get to the mountains." She inhales and then exhales and says, "Terrorcry has a affinity for hunting slivers of divinity. Think we need some bait to attract him out."
What sort of bait?
She thinks for a moment and says, "Let's get a lay of the land here, and perhaps if we can get one of the more powerful sages to channel some divine magic on our behalf, might be beneficial."
I might know a little bit of divine magic. Well, maybe not.
Wait, what class is Rook?
Cleric.
Oh snap! All right, so yeah, you guys are shifting in that direction. Elena is going to say, let's check the Kaiori. Most of the time when he gets in his bloodlust mode, he doesn't stop until he's sated.
This companion does not exactly sound very reliable.
As long as I get paid.
Not you. The one we seek.
She nods and says, yes. Most of the time, it's best just to turn them loose at the things that need killing.
Ruak understands why your low-profile plan did not succeed.
She puts her hands on her hips and says, and why is that?
For the reason you just stated. Perhaps companions that are not feral in nature would be more worth your time.
She nods and says, he's more of a contingency.
Okay. Ruak gets paid either way.
Mm-hmm. Alright.
Am I in the area? I'm sorry.
Yes, you are. You are with the party.
Nice. Don't know why I thought I wasn't.
Yeah, you guys traveled to... You guys escaped the capital together and traveled to Gwir.
Nice. So, I'm gonna go stand over near Malik, I guess.
Alrighty.
Solmain, who's been fairly quiet through this whole exchange, walks up to Elena, kind of in a whispered tone. Keep saying you failed, but as far as I can tell, our mission success. Magnate's dead. Ryren was a success, and chaos ensued. There were hiccups, from what I'm understanding, but from the looks of it, succeeded what you were set out to do.
Elena is going to shake her head and say, things were rushed in the capital. We needed to stay and keep causing chaos until the army got there. But now our companions on the border will have to fight through whatever resistance Artaserai is able to scramble together.
What can they scramble together without a leader?
She nods and says, I'm just hoping it was enough.
You know I was there that night. You know I saw what happened. Well, not the execution, the chaos that ensued.
She nods and says, you performed admirably, which is why I employ you in my service now. Once we get to the north, your skills will be needed again.
More from my blood from my blade to taste?
Grimacing, she nods and says, yes, but please don't talk about blood around me.
Rook will laugh at her.
You can't be serious.
Elena looks at the party and says, hey, the killing is your guys' job.
Technically, it shouldn't be my job, but fine, whatever.
It's also my favorite hobby.
Alright.
Oh. Ruak may have made a mistake.
Nah, I did for my beautiful little god. Well, great god.
as you guys are talking, you're walking across the squeezeway to the central city. You're gonna pass. You're gonna pass a multitude of individuals, and the thing that is going to become overwhelmingly obvious near instantly is that even though you guys have a goblin and a actual bird person with you, you guys do not look out of place in Gwir at all. There are fish merchants that don't appear to be any type of human, bearing bodies completely of fur. There are all types of exotic individuals here from all across the world. Foreigners from Galkin, fire spawn from the various different fires, each one, you know, different in appearance as far as scales and colors go. There are dwarves from Red Axe here, elves, are elvish merchants. Gwir is a melting pot of the world. For those who don't want to trade in the port cities of Alilnagai, the religious port cities, it seems that this is where all the outcasts go.
Noticing elves in the area, Soulmane is going to tap his hat and transform into a human.
Alrighty.
I'm gonna ask anyone if they want any food.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, the smell of fish too is very potent here. It is probably the main food of the area. Anyways, though, as you guys get to the end of the squeezeway, there is a man preaching on a box to the preaching on his soapbox to the moving crowds. Even though it is still late winter, he is bundled up talking to individuals as they pass by. No one seems to be paying him any attention before somebody finally shoves him off his box, yelling, "Heretic!"
Heretic! Wait, what?
I'm gonna go and yell at the man that pushed him.
I'm gonna walk over because, you know, my character's based off Alexander Hamilton. People on soapboxes draw their attention.
He, as the party is helping him up, they
I
each...
didn't say I was doing that.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
Rook helps? Does Rook help?
What's he preaching about, though? Actually, that should be my first question.
Spot for heretic.
He as he gets up, you guys are going to notice the symbols of the Wills of Alilia on him. However, what he was preaching doesn't at all sound like that religion. When the party helps him up, he's going to say to them, "Thank you. Well, somebody's got to talk life into these pagans here."
Excuse me?
He shakes his hands and says, sorry, you guys are good pagans."
Don't concern yourself, my god. God.
I mean, how do you assume I'm just a pagan?
He looks and says, "Well, do you worship me?"
No, I worship nobody.
God.
Exactly.
Well, blasphemy,
Kill
sir.
him.
I think you should worship me.
He looks aghast and says, "Why, you don't know who you talk to. You talk to Rosero,
Apparently
chosen
you don't know who you're
envoy
talking
of
to.
Ililia. She
Oh,
sent me."
Here we go.
Ah, I hate both.
Elena is going to drag her hand over her face, and
Right, just keeps walking away.
yeah, and do that gesture right there.
I kind of want to convince him to walk into an alley with me.
No, because this is my time to shine. I'm gonna ask him, what makes you think she chose you?
He
I'm gonna argue.
He looks positively aghast and says, "I am radiant. I am the image of perfection in which she made me. I speak for her in place of the World Walker."
Oh, please.
Woody...
Make that perfect.
Stir of endless water, and I'm gonna geyser him.
Can you say that again, Riley?
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna take out my decanter of endless water and geyser him.
Alright, okay, geyser, yeah. I have to look, is there a strength check for that?
13.
I'm pulling it up
yeah.
right now. Let's see. Decanter of endless water.
I don't know if I want to start feeding on him. Here.
Alright, geyser, 30-foot, DC 13. As him and Elsie are getting into this debate, and he says, "I'm positively radiant. I am the symbol of perfection. I speak for her in place of Amira." And right in that last sentence, this funnel or this beam of water is going to collide with his collide into his waist, causing him to crumple over and be pushed back several steps. Elena is going to come back, grabbing Rook's hand like a small child and say, "That's enough."
Fine, I'll let the false god speak.
No time for distractions.
There are plenty of times for distractions. I want to kick this guy's ass.
I'm gonna turn to Elena like, what? He's gonna turn to Elena like, what have you done?
I don't think the homeless man is a god.
Yeah, Elena is going to look to Ruak. She's gonna look to Ruak and say,
Another one we have to use 7 gallons of fun for.
yeah, she's gonna say, they're always like this. It's like trying to herd a bunch of children.
Yeah, they're odd.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at Elena and say, "Can I beat up the children?"
Please.
What?
I'm confused.
Yeah, I'm asking her if I can physically harm this dude.
The guy on the ground?
Yeah.
Yeah. We want to beat him.
Are we playing the evil party?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Elena is going to look back at him and just look at you and say, "Just make it subtle." You guys are on a main thoroughfare.
Malik will pipe in and say, "This man is clearly not worth our time. He's a raving lunatic at best."
I want to lean in and try to intimidate this dude. So I'm better than him.
Go ahead.
I may be a voice of reason.
Malik continues. I'm telling you, we shouldn't be... Why are we even talking to him?
I'm probably gonna
He's
get. I'm probably gonna
lunatic.
1.
Ooh, 16.
Yeah, I want to intimidate this guy.
What are you gonna say?
I want to choke you with your own esophagus.
Now, Malik is a tiefling of very little brain, but even he knows that's logistically problematic.
My brain just did like 3 cartwheels thinking, but wait, if you cut out his esophagus, isn't he already? Okay, I don't. All right.
That's his. That's the food. That's the thing he uses to eat, not the thing he uses to breathe.
It's both.
Well, we'll rip out his
No.
Okay.
Malik, sighs, walks up next to Elsie and says, "Come on, this... I don't even know anymore."
Yeah.
He flips a gold coin towards the man and says, "Run along."
As Malik pulls Elsie away, this man is looking at Elsie, and what she can tell is terror as he's trying to comprehend, like, wait, what?
I'm gonna tear at his esophagus and I'm gonna choke him with it.
As Malik gives him a coin and pulls Elsie away, he says, "Gods be with you."
I am here, so
spell on him.
What
Will
spell?
you stop wasting our time? Get going, small child.
Fine, I'll let him run.
He completely soaked in this harsh winter air is already pretty much a death sentence for him. Shivering, he walks up to another group of people walking by and begins literally preaching at them before they shove him away.
I want to... that's annoying.
Yeah, he is, but that's queer. It's got a whole bunch of people in them. You like some and you hate others. Anyways,
Okay.
as you guys exit the squeezeway on the central island, on the Millen side, there is the arena. Elena points to it and says, "Let's just see if he's fought here in the past couple days, then we can be leaving town."
Yeah, I love watching sports.
Soulmane will step up to Elena. Do you have any way of showing what he looks like? A sketch? Anything?
She says no, but he has a very distinctive appearance. The arena organizers would definitely know if he was here. She describes him to Soulmane. He has short white hair, a face full of scars, including 2 side by side underneath his ear, on the side of his face. It is not a image you see and forget. I'm wondering if she would also convey to Soulmane he has a condition. He looks human, but he's not exactly human.
One last thing for the heretic. I'm gonna make my falcon go get like a dead bird or something and just drop it on him and poop on him.
Alright,
Alright.
your falcon is trained in doing tricks and in mailing letters.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it cannot understand. Go poop on that guy.
Well, that could be a tricky thought at.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna pick up like a bunch of, I don't know, just rubbish, tie it and give it to the falcon, and tell it to deliver it to the man. Perfect. Who's
Brandon.
Yes.
Go ahead, Riley. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm fine. I'll just imagine it happened.
Does Soulmane get like a good description of what the companion looks like from everything she was describing?
Yes, he does.
Alright, he's going to again tap onto his hat and try to turn into a image resembling him.
Elena, as you do, Elena's going to say, oh, that's nice, and she's going to pull on the bottom parts of your jaw, and say, but you need to have a bigger face, and look like you're just not interested in living at all. There you go, a little sadder, and, pulls on your shoulders and say, a bit more muscles, and, yep, that's about him.
Alright, taking her critiques into it, he adjusts accordingly.
Alright, walking into, the arena, you guys can hear the shouts of a, match going on currently. Elena, points to, her party and says, who do I talk or who do I talk to get my mercenaries entered? They gesture to the right of the entranceway, to an area that leads below the arena, as opposed to where everybody else is entering to place bets and watch the fights. She walks in that direction, and there is a single guard there, and says, he stops her and says, Madam, are you looking to enter a fighter? She shakes her head and says, no, I'm looking to see if one has been entered. He nods and says, I'll have to talk to Shannara. Elena stands there, puts her hand out and says, well, then go get her. The guard nods and walks inside. As he does, Elena looks back at the rest of the party and pulls out her spell book, and I wonder if she has a high enough spell book slot to affect all of you guys.
Oh, by the way, I'll use my hat to turn myself into a halfling. Because why not?
Alright, let's see. One additional creature, so let's... she's going to, touch, Malik, and she's, let's see, who's the last, and she's going to touch, Soulmane, and say, just in case things get rough, you never want to play your hand too early. She puts a incantation on both of you guys. You turn invisible from each other's sights. To the rest of the party, they're both invisible. The guard comes back and says, Shannara will see you. Where'd your other members go? She shakes her head and says, they're gonna watch the fight. She points to Rook and says, if I need a barter fighter for her, she points, or she gestures to him and says, he'll do. The guard looks and says, can he kill? She nods and says, positively the best at it.
I grin.
Stepping inside the fighter's den, there are some people down here held completely behind bars, and even though they are still training. There are some that are walking around freely. There are others wearing slaves' collars, sparring with each other. In the distance, you guys can see another set of cages and different beasts tied up in them. Walking through the area, Elena is going to shake her head and say, oh, so long ago I used to sell so many creatures and people down here to these slave pits. I didn't know Shannara was still running this little hellhole.
Oh, lucky you got to see free fight.
Leading the party, Elena walks to the end of the entrance room and opens a small door to the left before leading deeper into the chambers, where the on the other side of the door, and it's kind of a open door with like metal bars running through what would be a window slot where all the creatures are held. Opening a door to the right of that, Elena leads you all into a small office. Behind the desk, there is a dwarven woman sitting down, counting out a stack of gold. She looks up and says, "Elena, back from the dead. What have you brought this time? I'm always happy with the bounties you bring." She shakes her head and says, I haven't brought any fighters to enter. I was wondering if one of my companions had fought here. The woman shakes her head and says, No, you know there's always an exchange. Elena exhales and says, how about this small one here? The dwarf walks around looking at Rook and looks eye to eye with him, says, is little halfling. What's he do? Is he a spellcaster?
My hat, and I say, Nick.
Say that one more time, Riley.
I take off my hat and I say, I'm kind of a mixture of both. But I'm still very, very good at killing.
At that, she nods and says, Alright, if he'll put on a good show, Elena puts out her hand and says, the person I'm looking for, he's, and she describes him. The woman, is going to shake her head and say, no, hasn't been through here. Elena is going to, growl and say, you're lying to me. The woman says, well, maybe I just need a little bit more persuading.
She wants us to pay her.
I'm
gonna walk up to her.
gonna
And
ask.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask our friend if I should cast command on her.
I mean, I hit that, but okay.
Do what you want. I'm gonna save myself a lot.
You can. Nobody here is a battle master, are they? By the way, this woman, she has a sword, strapped to her waist. However, she's wearing spiked gauntlets and has, a myriad of scars about her. She pretty much runs this place and doesn't at all seem to be,
I'm gonna walk
afraid of
up
a
to
fight.
her, and I'm gonna pull out 6 gold pieces, and I'm gonna hand it to her. Is that enough?
She looks down at it and says, this is an insult. 6 gold, Elena? You know what people would pay for your werewolf? Lena is going to step forward and say, so terror cries here. She nods and says, yes, he's won a good bit of gold for me. He fights at night. She shakes her head and says, he's deathened. It's illegal to have him. He's, before she
Look,
can...
we got what our information. Let's just go get him.
Elena looks back at, Shannara and says, you better, stay out of my way. The woman looks at her and says, darling, do you think you're just gonna, bust up my place and get out of here? You don't just walk into my den and walk out like that. Looking in the air, Elena is going to, look towards where Soulmane should be if, he was following, if he was following where he's walking at. Yeah, you can.
Soulmane's
Yeah.
standing near
19.
the dwarven woman,
Alright.
waiting for her to make a reaction.
Elena's going to, as you do that intimidate check, the woman is going to make a grapple check at Elsie.
Oh, I
Soulmane's
didn't get to say what I wanted to
Stick
say.
his blade right against her throat as she's charging.
Alright.
I didn't get to say what I wanted to say.
So, what's Elsie saying? Go ahead and say it.
I was gonna say I'm gonna rip your small intestine out your mouth and rip your large intestine out your butt and use you as a damn skipping rope.
Yeah, and she's going to just kind of grab at Elsie's hair and move to like push her face to the
Oh, we're doing this now. Good.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
roll me
Drop the weave.
a pose grapple check, and
That's just strength, right?
yes, you can choose to use acrobatics. A 20. Wow, near certain you were gonna fail that.
Ain't no way else gonna fail that.
You tie hers, but she has a higher modifier than you. So it's gonna go in her favor. And
she's...
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brandon, sorry.
Oh, and as this is happening, she's going to pause as a small drop of blood goes down her neck, and Elena is going to look towards Soulmane and just nod. She's gonna say, now we can come to a compromise. I'm sure.
As she says that, Soulmane's gonna lean down in her ear. You know, Velpir makes it so the dead stay that way.
That is the last thing said in the room before sound stops working. Everybody looking at Elena can see she has her spell book out. And she closes it. Is Soulmane cutting her neck?
I'll make a... Does it look like she's willing to let go or no?
It seems that Elena has her book in front of her eyes right now, of expecting bloodshed to happen.
Alright, so
I'm gonna beat the shit out of this woman.
Are we killing?
I will draw the blade across her throat. That's not a good one.
I'll take my hand axe and start whacking.
That was a really bad attack.
Wow,
what spec are you, by the way? Or what subclass?
Death.
Oh, I was talking about Soulmane.
Oh.
I am what the hell are they called? Scout? Or basically
Xanathar, one of the Xanathar ones?
I believe so. Let's say it's a scout. One second, I'll tell you.
Let's see.
If you're wondering if I'm assassin, no.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, if you do, that's it's automatic critical regardless.
Yeah, I'm a scout.
Alright, that attack is going to miss. And you guys go ahead and roll initiative, and we'll do it as cinematic combat. Unless it changes to... unless, you know, she gets out of the room or something else happens.
Okay, Brandon, that should be a 14, not an 11.
Okay.
Because it's supposed to add my charisma modifier to it. It's one of my features.
Okay. I'm going to pull up your sheet right now. I'm going to show you real quick how to add that in.
I thought I did, because I went over to the gear and did the initiative modifier. I added it in initially, but it did not take.
Let's see. Initiative style. Yeah, initiative modifier. What's your charisma modifier?
So +3.
3.
Okay, never mind. Nope, that is right then. I'm being stupid. It added it straight to the initiative, and I didn't realize it.
Okay. There you go. All right. Is nobody else fighting?
Oh, is it just me and her?
Everybody who wants to be involved can roll initiative. Wowzeries.
That's pretty
Yep.
JD, your microphone's muted if you've been talking.
I said Malik thinks this is a waste of time.
Fair enough. Between the three of them, though, they should be able to handle this.
Is there a chair in the room?
Elena steps outside the door, with Woody following her. Anybody who doesn't want to participate and instead split up and search can join Elena.
I'll join Elena.
All right. Inside the room, actually winning initiative is going to be, and you're gonna be surprised when I say this, frickin' Soulmane.
Oh shit.
Yeah, she lost initiative to you by, she's moving at 10. You are moving at 11. Rook's moving at 7. And Elsie is moving at 5.
Alright.
As you pull your dagger back and you make a slash at her neck, you are going to miss. And let me read the text of invisibility, because you might still
I'm out of
Say it again?
I think it's greater invisibility. I would stay invisible.
Okay.
It's basic invisibility. I'm pretty sure it breaks.
Yeah, I'm just making sure it's not like under. Let's see. Touch becomes invisible and thing. The spell ends if that target attacks or casts a spell. Yep. Cool. You are going to come from invisibility. And, by the way, this woman is wearing a ruby pendant around her neck.
Ooh, I'm gonna feel that.
It is Soulmane's turn in combat.
Alright, I'm going to try to attack again, because...
Alright, she's let go of Elsie, and you are flanking with Elsie. Well, that is going to do tremendously better.
21, I'm guessing, hits?
Yes.
Alright, so that's 8 for that, and my sneak attack for another 16, so 24 altogether.
Alright. That is going to be a, slash is going to catch her across the face, giving her a new scar. Very angrily, she is, going to pull the, sword that is, horizontally attached to her waist, holding it, backwards, and... Are you doing something else?
I'm going to, after I attack, I'm actually going to run over to the door. I do not invoke attack of opportunities because of my fancy footwork.
Okay.
So I'm going to block the doorway from her trying to escape and hold my ground there.
Alright, you notice, as you, run from her desk towards the door, your ears stop working.
I thought they stopped working before then.
Elena put up a silence on the back side of the room.
That's what I said. I thought she did that before she walked out, so that it would have been before I even attacked her that second time.
Yes. The area you were in was not silence. The area she was standing in, she silenced that back part of the room. So you were hearing sound come towards you, and then you stopped hearing it.
Okay.
She is going to pull out her sword and say, if you all want to keep up this nonsense, that's fine. I'll take each and every one of you, and you'll fight in the slave pits.
Kind of mockingly, he just holds his hand up to his ear like, I hear you.
Yeah, only Elsie hears her as she is going to deal 6, 3, 13, and 1 point of slashing. That's 14. And then her strength modifier, she is going to deal 16 points of slashing damage at Elsie. As she does, Elsie rolls a strength saving throw against one of her superiority dice. Woo! All right. So she hits you with the back end of the sword, trying to push you back several feet after she slashes you. Elsie resists being pushed. You take 16 points of slashing damage. It is her turn. She gets a second attack. Oh my goodness gracious. She does not have advantage on that attack. But that first die is still gonna crit. Alright.
This was a fun character.
She's going to deal 11 more points of slashing damage as Elsie catches the first attack. She brings down her sword overhead on Elsie for a second one. She begins to laugh. It is Rook's turn.
I'm going to cast Guiding Bolt.
Okay, you have to step forward to do it.
Okay, I'll do that as well.
Alright, that 9 is not going to hit.
I'm just gonna kind of jump at her and try and grab the ruby necklace.
Okay. You can make a attempt at it on your next turn as a sleight of hand check.
Okay.
Alright, it is Elsie's turn.
Is she right next to me?
She is.
Damn it.
Woo! Alright, she is going to, or actually it is not her turn again, so it is, if that's all Elsie's doing, it is Soulmane's turn.
Do I have another turn?
You can cast a spell on a bonus action.
I'm
If you
going to
have
do that,
any,
then.
if you have any spells that can be cast as a bonus action.
Poison Spray is one of those, right?
Did you take Quicken spell for your meta magic feat?
I think so. None of my feats are on here, though.
Alright, you gotta write your feats on there, because that was one of the problems we had controlling your character, was we didn't know
Okay. I'll have to work on
what you
that.
had as far as feats go. But yeah, you can quicken it. It's 2 points to quicken, and you can cast poison spray or another first level spell, or rather any level spell you want.
Alright, I'll keep that in mind and I'll work on that tomorrow.
I got confidence in you.
Are you casting another spell?
No, that's fine. 'Cause
Alright.
we don't know if I have it or not.
What's Soulmane doing?
Seeing all this, he just kind of
He doesn't find me funny.
puffs
Her feet on the toilet so long, her feet are asleep.
and he's gonna go back
So now
in
she can't move.
and go for another attack with the rapier.
Alright, roll me an attack roll.
And he's gonna do it going on the other side of Elsie again, so he's flanking.
Whew!
I believe that's a crit.
Crits don't exist in this edition, sorry. Roll damage, regular damage, just regular hit.
Alright, so that's 9 plus my sneak.
No, I'm kidding. You can roll it as critical. Roll 4 more d6.
You just
So
butt hurts.
Alright.
Here, that's 14 plus, so it's 26 plus 17. 43?
40. Okay. Alright, that's whatever. It's just 43 damage. Whatever. It's just 67 damage she's taken. That's fine.
Leave this time, because I'm sure she's more pissed at me if she's still standing.
That hurt.
She stands up, as that dagger, lands true again, she's going to, stand up and say, alright, I yield. I have your damn wolf. I'll show you where he's at.
I say, give me your necklace or I'll gut you like a fish.
Leave the threats to me, please.
I would like to note that Elsie's not that good at them either, but...
Soulmane's just gonna look at the both of you.
I know, but that's gonna be your whole thing this season.
When
Now,
I threw in
the max charisma trained in intimidation, just sitting in the corner.
mine. A beautiful
Soulmane's
little.
just gonna look at the both of you and just be like, go get Elena.
Me.
Well,
Do I
he still
get the-
has his blade pointing right at her, so she doesn't try anything.
21.
Moving back to the moving back to the back corner of her room, she digs inside of a crate and pulls out a small lockbox, pulling a key out of her pocket and opening it. On it there are four. There's a key ring inside the lockbox, and on it are 4 adamantine keys. She points to one key and says, "I'll lead you to him. You'll never break him out otherwise. He's near impossible to keep controlled, especially when he gets into one of those fits.
Cause look, got sprayed by a fucking skunk. Hold on.
Sorry.
Walking out of the room, Rook is... I'm sorry, who went to go get Elena?
No, I think Rook's trying to steal her pendant.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
he's trying to take the pendant off of her neck. If he is, like, super intent on it, he is able to snatch it off her neck as she's being led by Soulmane. Outside of the room, Elsie, or not Elsie, Elena, Malik, and Roak have entered the second part of the chambers, which are the prisons, are the cages holding different types of creatures. Through here, Elena has been searching the cells one by one with them before they are eventually joined by the rest of the party. Shannara is being led by Dagger by Soulmane, holding a set of adamantine keys. I was gonna say, you found yourself quite a bunch here. Lena is going to nod and say, yes, and I would just like my bodyguard back.
I will be right back. Sorry.
She leads you guys completely through this passage to a set of stairs that lead downwards. As you step into this area, you guys are going to notice there are two more people guarding this final chamber at the bottom. However, these people don't seem to be guards, rather than bureaucrats of sorts. They're each wearing ruby pendants, and neither one of them look like they have the ability to fight.
I kind of want to the next one.
As you get down there, the two men stand and say, "Shannara, there aren't any sanctioned shadowed fights today." She shakes her head and says, "We're getting rid of the demon." He looks. They look at each other and say, "That's not your property to decide that." Elena, who is behind them, is going to say, "That's not any of your property either." The woman steps forward and puts the adamantium key into the lock. Down here, there are 3 cells, and it is in pitch black. But you guys hear the breathing of things that I don't think anyone here would be able to place. Oh, actually, yes, you would. There would be light down here. There'd be enough light for you guys to see given off from one of the creatures. There is a bird in one of the cells, giving off a large aura of light. Within its cell, the area is completely frozen, and there is frost creeping from its area. The bird gives off light like you'd imagine a phoenix, except its feathers are made completely of ice, and so is the rest of its body. Lighting the two cells next to it, on either side, there is a white scaled beast that none of your characters would recognize what this thing is, but it is, just to save myself the description, it is a adult white dragon being held down here. There are all types of wards over the bottom floor of the cell. It is sleeping and snuffing, or as it is breathing. There are small puffs of smoke coming out of its nose. To your characters, it is a giant lizard thing with wings. These things have not been seen in this part of the world.
Shiny necklaces, shiny creatures, so many shinies.
The final cell closest to a set of double doors is there's going to be a man in a fur coat sitting down on a wall. He looks exactly like the person Soulmane was imitating earlier, with the same same kind of angry, lethargic expression on his face.
Sorry, I'm back.
Alright, you guys are in a special dungeon. Down here is a white dragon, a ice phoenix, and terror cry.
A white phoenix?
An ice phoenix. It is a large creature. They are rare in the world. People have hunted them almost to extinction.
Does it have like a slave collar or anything on it?
It is bound behind bars.
There's an interesting creature there.
The woman's going to point to Terror Cry and say, there's your wolf man, alright? You happy? Lena is going to look back at Soulmane and say, yeah, I am. You live for today.
Soulmane's gonna look at her, not to Elena, to the woman, and say, how do you control the Phoenix?
She is going to shake her head and say, some souls can't be tamed. That door, she points to the set of double doors in the room, the large set, and says, it leads down to only one place. We just prod them in that direction, and the poor sap there, well, let's say those who fight these things never end up making it out of that ring. Regardless, she unlocks the adamantine cage, keeping Terror Cry in. And Elena is going to hug him and say, you're going to have to tell me how you got down here. Terror Cry is going to not return the hug and say, and push her off of him and say, I just needed a place where I could shed a lot and lot of blood until I came back to my senses. He looks to Malik and Woody in the room, and says, "Next time, you better hope that I gain back control before that happens again. Otherwise, the whole city would have been painted in blood."
Malik will raise an eyebrow and say, "Oh, don't be so melodramatic."
He shakes his head and says, "That cleric, the one that was traveling with you, the second she hit me, all I saw was red. And I knew I was going to ruin." He turns to Elena and says, "Everything you are working for." She says, "Well, we needed you, but we're not going to dwell on the past." He nods and says, "My job is to protect you, and as long as the Master wills that, I'll keep my head on about me."
I have to leave. Bye.
Alright, enjoy your night, Riley. She smiles, pats him on the back, and says, "Well, with that, we can leave Gwir. It is time to get back to the mission of binding the Earth Fire."
So we just came here for Terracry.
She nods and says, I was able to scry on him and see him, within the arena. I thought Tengu would, help us, search down the city in case we didn't find him, around the arena.
So is our job here done then, Alina?
She nods and points northwards and says, "I was expecting it to take a few more days, so you guys want to enjoy the city. We've been kind of on the run. I don't mind relaxing here for a couple days." She looks, she opens her book and begins reading and says, "We don't have to be at the Earthfire for another week and a half."
And how long does it take to get there?
Well, if we get a good guide to lead us through the mountains, it wouldn't take longer than 5 days.
Who's dying?
My father.
Malik raises an eyebrow and says, "I wouldn't think that you'd be the type for slowing down and in the flavors of life."
She shakes her head and says, "We could travel there immediately. However, our liege meets up with us on intervals. When he does, he provides me scrolls to teleport with."
Aha. But getting back to the slowing down and enjoying the city thing, that's still just... You didn't answer the question.
What was the question?
You don't seem the type to slow down and enjoy life.
Oh, Elena is going to say, I've enjoyed every minute of my life. I enjoy it most when I'm hunting, and she's going to gesture to the beast in the back of the room and say things like this. I have my own collection on a different part of the world.
And forgive me, but it's been quite some time since we've discussed the topic. What exactly will happen when your liege gets the power that he's looking for?
She looks to the other people in the room and says, perhaps we should discuss this more in depth. I would like to bring you into my circle, fully in the loop. Terror is going to
I'm
look.
gonna say, surely you can trust me.
Yeah, she's gonna look at her and say, "Is that wise?" Lena is going to nod, walking out, and say, "It's my mission, and I can share it with who I deem necessary."
You wish.
Yeah, she begins leaving this private dungeon, and heads towards the exit of the are exiting the fighter pit area of the arena. As soon as you guys are outside the arena, she leads you to the front docks overlooking the open bay of the town. In the cold ocean wind is berating this front plaza pretty much the harshest. You guys can see boats moving in and out of the city, and all the way across the water in the distance you can see a temple devoted to the goddess of water at where the two rivers are, where the ocean splits and becomes two rivers. From our standing there, Lena's going to look back at the entire lot of you and say, my master has found something thought to be abandoned from this world. It has the ability to be immeasurably powerful. But it needs to be charged with the powers of the powers that God's left here long ago. And she looks northwards towards the Earthfire and says, and that's why I'm charged with collecting each one of the fires. There were archmages long ago that developed rituals on how to move them. But after they failed, they were never again deemed necessary to be moved. But I can perform them, and once I do so, I'll bring back each fire from each of the Sunsarai nations back to my master, so he can charge this object. And with it, he can restore Ilderon to the state it was supposed to be. She nods and says it's that simple. We avoid genocide where we can, but sometimes it's necessary.
It's just a little bit of genocide.
She nods and says, I could actually care less about his goals and plans. She begins to blush and say, well, I mean, really, if you understood who he is and the fact that he chose me to be in his circle, it's really wonderful, and I just want to please him.
Roek's confidence is not surging.
Terror is going to cut off Elena, who at this moment is kind of rambling on like a schoolgirl, and say, "Control yourself, child. You were selected because you are capable." He looks at the rest of the party and says, "There are 7 of us in total. Each one a part of our master circle." Each one of us were given a single job that we must adhere to in order for his goals to come true. Or to fruition, that would be a better word. Yeah.
So what is the Master's end goal?
Elena is going to turn to Terror and say, "Can we tell them? I think we should be able to tell them. He wouldn't be mad at us for telling him. They'd want to do it, right?" Terror Cry is going to exhale and say, "When we meet with him next, we will ask if we can share the plan with you. There are things, if you knew, it would discomfort your reality."
Good.
Reality is nothing more than brought out to make people feel comfortable.
Elena is going to burst out with excitement and say, "We found a god! We found a god! A lost one!" Terror is going to look at her with extreme displeasure and say, "You really think you can trust them that much with that type of information?"
Soulmane, kind of snarking, with a snarking grin on his face, just looks over at Terror. "Well, if it wasn't for us, you'd still be locked up in a jail cell playing Kill the Many Idiot."
He nods and says, "And for that I'm thankful." Elena, who her excitement is slowly returning back to her after getting yelled at, and she's going to say, "I'm sorry, it's just, we haven't told anyone since we've been up to all this, but, they helped out in Ardor. They deserve to know." And she nods and says, found one, and we need the earth fires to recharge them.
And I don't suppose you happen to know what would happen if you do awaken this deity.
She's gonna just raspberry her lips together, just like only the most marvelous things, of course.
Such as?
1 second.
GM loading.
Anyways, I'm sorry about that. Got asked a question. She is, she's gonna say, well, the fires of creation would be at our disposal. Obviously, anything we want, but, the master's satisfaction would be enough for me.
And your master's intent? I mean, I know he's planning on resurrecting this deity, but do you know what he plans to do with that deity's power once he's in control of it?
The Terror Cry shakes his head and says, "You needn't worry. Our master is an Ilderon, one of the first to spawn from the seed. He's been guiding the mortal races of Ilderon since time itself began. His will is not one to be feared."
Malik squints a little bit at Terror Cry and says, "Okay, so just so we're clear, the guy who ran off in a frenzy last time I saw him telling me not to be worried about his master's plans?" Just clarifying.
Yes.
That was in character.
Oh, okay.
Malik is 200% more sassy this time.
Terror Cry seems to not at all be enjoying this as much as Elena is, and he is going to put his teeth together, growling, and say, "They know all they need to know." She nods and says, "That's as much as we can tell you without needing his approval first. Specific, but vague."
Malik nods. Seems reasonable enough.
Can I at least ask if you know what this deity was in charge of?
She is, she's going to, nod and say, "You trust me, though. That's enough, right?"
I'm here because I was paid. I don't trust anyone.
Malik nods and says, "It's as good a cause as any that I've been following lately."
Roak has concerns.
Please voice them, Birdman.
Yes, and cause is not an appropriate response.
Roak is not convinced either one of you understand how gods work. You are likely
How do they work?
You are likely merely pawns in a much greater scheme. You are trusting in an omnipotent being to keep your best interests in mind. That is not how gods work. You will likely simply bring about great cataclysm.
Uh, she nods, and is going to try in adopting a very soft voice and say, Ruik, you need to understand that I understand what you're saying. However, this is a situation where we are acting in the best interests of Ilderon. And she looks to all of you and says, you could practically think of yourselves as heroes now.
Not to rain on anybody's parade, but there's no such thing as heroes. Just people with god complexes and moral compasses larger than their brains.
Roak's place is among the bones. Cataclysm means little to Roak. However, avoiding destruction before its time is generally the best course of action.
Well, to be fair, Roic, if Cataclysm does befall on us, befall the areas, there'll be plenty of bones.
Every bone has its place. They do not fall randomly.
Elena is going to wave her hand at you guys and say, and I leave all the bone falling to you guys. And you can leave the advanced magical theories to me.
God complexes. Well, we'll certainly be in need of more sycophants.
Malik's going to turn to the rest of the group and look over them for a moment and say, well, I think that sums it up pretty nicely. We all know what this job is about. We all know where our bets are hedged. I suggest that for those of you who don't have the fortitude to go through with this sort of thing, you should probably tuck out now, before things get more intense. But otherwise...
I'm with you to the end.
Glad to hear it.
I love how you said that. Like he's not that enthusiastic.
Malik nods and shoots a little bit of a wink in Elsie's direction. He continues and says, and I expect you to fall in line under my direction. I haven't been much of a leader in the past, but that's going to change starting now.
Pardon?
Yes, Prince of Plague?
Direction.
Simply put, you keep me alive, and I'll provide plenty of bones for you to pick over.
Roak is no fool. He knows what you mean by direction.
And do you take issue with this?
No.
Do not speak for me, woman.
I wasn't talking to you. My cat's trying to eat my taco.
Your cat does not belong in D&D time.
My cat's trying
You're not fool,
I'm
Roak.
sorry. My cat's trying to eat my taco. I'm sorry.
Tacos.
There's so many things I could say right now.
Away with you, cat.
I think JD just got it.
Moving to the center of the plaza, which is empty today. There's a large tree here that is dead in this season of the year, or has no leaves in this season of the year. However, there are benches around it. Elena lights one of the small open fireplaces next to the benches placed around this tree, and says, "Well, I feel that since we're out here and we're all in agreement, I can just give you guys the legs of the plan, and you will you can devise the best way to tackle it yourselves, and I can perform the ritual once we're close. Does that sound acceptable to everyone?"
Sounds fine.
And upon completion of the ritual, everybody will get the second half of their payment.
Roak not receive the first half of his payment.
She nods and says, well then, how about 500 gold now, and 500 when we finish?
Surely that's not the payment for the entirety of our mission. The overall thing, I mean.
She shakes her head and says, I didn't bring much more gold than what that barbarian fellow of yours requested of me when we left Ardor.
I see. Now, speaking on that topic, full transparency, I hold a little bit of vendetta in my heart for those vampires. Is there any chance that our plans in the future might involve dealing with them?
She points to Terror Cry and says, when he goes full demon, and she expands her hands and says, full demon, he pretty much eats things like that, feasting on them entirely. He's our contingency if they come chasing after us.
I was hoping to be able to deal with them one at a time, and in person.
She is going to pull out her spellbook and flip to the final pages, which seem to be notes, and say, well, see, the main thing, the main part of us heading into the mountains is we are waiting on the Mountain Wardens, the faction that protects the Earthfire there, to send men to reinforce their southern brothers to fight the army that we have coming up through the nation. That way we won't have to fight an army at the Earthfire. In order for that to happen, we just need to wait for them to pass. And she gestures to a map of Ardor Sarai, which I will move us all over to. Yeah. And gesture, or she draws on the map, drawing from the Earthfire to the south of the country, and marks, we're here in Gwir, and that's path we just need to wait for the wardens to leave. I was thinking from here we could either hike through the mountains to the Earthfire, or we can go straight up through the Flame Gate. But in any case, that's why we do have a few days to spare before we have to be at the mountains. If you say that one more time, Wesley.
Why not fly?
She is going to look at Roic and say, well, not everybody has wings that will carry them for hours on end. Even if I cast fly on all of us, we would still have to take breaks in the mountains.
What a sad existence you lead.
She nods and says, "Are there more of your kind on Cedal?" Terror puts a hand on her shoulder and says, "Stay on topic." She nods and goes back to drawing her notes and says, "Well, see, in that time that they'd be traveling, that would be time that you could compose a plan to hunt down the vampires. I mean, it would be very, very beneficial if they were all out of the way, but the only one that I know of personally that lives in the country is Draylen Madison." And
no terror I can hide from Roic.
she draws a X on the western forests and says, "He is a nobleman in a small town in the west. I didn't know he was what he was until his nature was revealed to us."
We will find the medicine. And this one can eat him.
She nods at Terror Cry.
No, the shattered one.
Oh, Malik eats him?
Yes.
She's going to look at Malik and yeah.
Says, "I beg your pardon."
Do not seek vengeance.
Well, yes, but I don't eat people.
Mediocre. You must consume his bones.
I gonna pass on that one.
Are you going to eat them?
No, you can have them.
Excellent. We have an accord.
We have something.
Proceed.
Elena claps and says, "Well, that's wonderful." Once again,
Yes.
she puts a hand on her chest and says, "Our liege provides me with the means to move around the continent with ease, but I can't bring all of us." So she points to the mountain and writes, "This is where the Earthfire is, and this is where you guys need to secure passage to. If you'd like me to, I will travel with you."
Interesting.
And she points to the flame gate and then points from a fortress map marked on the map, and says from either point, it's a 5-day trail around the mountains.
So much time.
And so few bones to harvest, Roic.
It is not the bones, it is the time. Were you born with wings?
I was not, and I probably will never have them. Honestly, however, seeing the world from your eyes view doesn't exactly interest me. I'm more into the sort of blood, death, and vengeance, to be honest.
Terror nods and says, "These are good things that motivate people."
Death, and vengeance. Speaking of, where's Roax's payment?
Elena is going to open her coin pouch, which as soon as Roic sees it, it is all the types of shine in here are in there. She's going to have, let's see. She's going to fish out 500 gold and pay Roic, Soulmane, and Roic, Soulmane, and Rook each 500 gold.
Glorious incandescence. Roax is so happy. Oh god. So, I could buy many things with this shine.
She's going to hand the rest of her coin pouch to Malik and say, here, you hold the rest of their payment for when the job is complete. Inside is 1,500 more gold. And she dusts off her clothes and says, now that mess is off me, I hate carrying gold around.
Roax's head slowly turns towards Malik.
What? Is there something on my face?
Only cuteness.
Yes. My stuff!
It's mine!
By the way, Kaylee, I don't know if you saw in the group chat, Elsie has 1,000 additional gold on her.
Oh!
From the money.
I also asked a question, if you can answer that
okay.
at some point. Yeah.
Dirge negotiated payment for you guys
Okay. Yeah, I'll throw that
earlier
in
the day before you guys fought.
And wasn't around to receive it. Sad life.
Leave me and my taco alone. I'll beat you.
Get your taco out of here. It's the indie time.
It is a good taco. I want to hear it.
Yeah. Alright. So, you guys need to be at the Flame Gate, and, you guys need to be at the Flame Gate in, 10 days' time.
Okay, before I leave, I'd like to ask, the woman that we're with a quick question in private. I'd like to ask her if she's seen, my brother. Because I think she'd know who he is.
Let me pull out my Elsie card. All right. Yes. How are you gonna ask her?
I'm just gonna ask her if she's heard any news about him.
When you ask Elena, she's going to nod and say, "Oh yeah, your brother applied to join our ranks when our 7th member died."
Do you know where he is?
She shakes her head and says, "We replaced the 7th with one much more capable than he. The last I had seen of him, he was in Lil Nagai."
Thank you.
She nods and says, "However, the liege would know he keeps up with everybody who he considers to join the circle."
So if you hear from him, please let him know to come find me as well.
Stay away.
Mm-hmm.
Please.
Brandon,
Yes.
can I go shopping?
Can we go shopping?
You can. You guys are in the shopping capital of Gwir. What do you you just looking for random items, or is there something
I'm
specifically?
looking very specifically for either a, let's see, a sentinel shield, a shield +1, although if there's a +2, I'll take that, or a wand of magic missiles.
Alright, the wand of magic missiles I'd actually have to roll for. The shield, let me move you guys.
All items listed are uncommon, by the way, so...
Yeah. Well, it's just because, here, the wand would be a trade good if somebody's trading it, just because it's not something this nation produces. However, the shield would be something that people in this area would make, create, and sell. The shield you are able to find, the shield +1. The wand of magic missiles, you don't. You find this in the Grand Market, which is of a huge part of Gwir, of people coming and specifically moving about and trading.
But I'm not able to find the sentinel shield?
No. Let me look over the Sentinel Shield again, because it depends on the effect.
You have advantage on initiative rolls and wisdom perception checks.
Yeah, the people here would be good at making magical items, as in that is reinforced like a really good killing weapon. They wouldn't be the type of I am capable of imbuing the spell effect into this magical item. So you would not find the Sentinel Shield, but you would find a shield +1.
Okay. Is it possible for me to find and or afford a shield +2?
+2 here? Not in the Grand Market.
Okay.
You do, however, as you're asking about for one, you do, however, hear of probably one of the most legendary shields you've heard about.
Well, I probably can't afford it. Okay. And the last item I'm looking for is a Stone of Good Luck.
a stone of good luck.
Mm-hmm.
You are roll me a charisma check for that one. Asking around for it.
That's my good score.
Yeah, believe.
Hey.
You're able to find someone offering something better. It looks like a stone of good luck. The person offering it to you is a flamboyant cleric of sorts. They have a elaborate silver robe on over their traveling gear, and the stone itself has a additional eye on the center of it, and the symbol of the Four Ascended. The eye, however, marks it as the symbol of the Fifth Ascended, and says the stone will grant you luck and more. And
like
it can be
kind of trade your souls sort of thing.
well, you talked to this guy.
here?
You talked to this guy earlier. You're looking at a stone of the Fifth Ascended.
Okay, and that's on the wiki, right?
Yes, it is.
Does Soulmane hear him talking about this?
He does. The cult of the Fifth Ascended is popular here. One of the main ideas of the religion of the Four Ascended is that you too can become a god. So when people talk about the Fifth Ascended, it's just like, yeah, whatever, okay. However,
Okay, so
the
how
people...
powerful are these skeletons? Are they just baseline out of the monster manual?
Yes, they are.
Okay, cool. I will absolutely buy this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It requires attunement?
Yes,
Okay,
it does.
Yeah, okay.
Right. It is, the person selling it, to you, says they'll sell it for, 700 gold, but if instead, you, pledge your faith, he'll instead, sell it to you for half the price.
I will raise him one better. I'll not only pledge my faith, I will sell him 18 holy symbols. Silver holy symbols.
Wait, what are you doing?
So, you guys, you remember that fight that we had where Dirge got turned into a vampire and we killed a whole bunch of people on top of a mountain and almost died?
Yeah.
I looted all of the holy symbols from it and never sold them.
He, has...
Such opulence.
He has, no interest in, he doesn't have an interest in your holy symbols. However, they are silver, right?
Yes.
He does have a loose interest in the metal they're made out of. So let me...
Yeah, I mean, I figured he wouldn't want to use
Yeah.
the holy symbols of one of the other four Ascended.
Brandon,
Yes.
does he have more than one that we can see or no?
He has a whole handful of these things.
They're in his hand, they're none like strewn around him.
Yeah, they're not on, and this is not a merchant, by the way.
Yeah.
No, I figured some crazy person sitting on the street.
Yeah, real quick, how much was the shield +1 going for?
The shield +1, you found that in the market.
Okay, and...
You did not talk to the person who was selling that. It's still there. Yeah, if you want to go back, let's see. I'm factoring in people's religions here in Gwir, because it's makes a huge difference in Ardor Sarai. This person,
Okay.
this person selling this shield, it is a female, and she is willing to sell the shield to Malik for 620 gold.
Okay, I'm gonna use my inspiration on a persuasion check to try and lower the price.
Okay.
Hey, Malik is going to lean onto the table and look over the shield. There is a table, right? I'm not just leaning onto.
Yeah, it's a market stall.
Okay. I'm gonna lean forward and look over the shield and say, I don't suppose blatant flattery would work for getting a bit of a discount? Because I have to say, I do find you quite bewitching.
The person,
Wait,
the-
who's saying this?
Malik is saying
I was just gonna glare at Malik.
this. The person selling the shield is going to smile and say, flattery doesn't pay Thalix's tax or tariffs.
I'll grant you that. I'll grant you that. But perhaps I could offer you, I don't know, maybe a couple of drinks and some stories. What do you say?
By the way, Elsie's like right behind you doing that.
Pay no attention to the imp behind me.
She's gonna look and say, "Are you two entangled?"
No.
Soulmate looks over at Rorik. Oh, this is gonna be awkward.
This is going to be glorious.
She's gonna say, "Well, I suppose I can come off the price a little bit for just a drink."
Certainly. What kind of a discount does that net me, or do I begin haggling?
610 gold.
It's only 40 gold. That's almost not worth the trouble that I'm getting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
But
10.
a discount is a discount.
Yeah, as I say, 10 gold of a discount there for a drink is, and Malik's probably gonna buy her like a 5 silver drink.
Yeah, fair enough.
No, here you have a Coors Light.
610 gold for the shield.
Water.
Alright, I pay that.
The person selling the symbols will trade each of the symbols for 1.5 gold.
Okay, let's see. 18 times 1.5 is 27?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alright, sounds good. And concerning that Stone of the Fifth Ascended, I will make a deception check to try and convince him that I am totally, definitely converting to the faith in the Fifth Ascended.
Alright. Go for it.
I probably should have saved my inspiration for this check instead. Hey! Everything's coming up, Malik!
He puts a hand on your shoulder. What Malik would expect is a prayer. Is
Yes.
actually a series of poems from Galkin that he heard. One of which Malik hears the remnants of what Elena had said at the start of the session,
Yeah.
Your presence isn't needed and the supplies are many, but I hunger, and I'd have to look at my notes for what the rest of the poem is. When the person finishes reciting their foreign poetry, he hands the stone over to Malik and says, "Remember, always seek the truth of fate."
Yeah, sure.
I'll nod and say, "I thank you for this boon. I will make sure that it is not wasted."
He has another if Soulmane would like to do the same.
No.
Alright, Malik is able to buy the stone for 300 and...
350. I've already subtracted it.
Alright.
Neat. Okay, so now, just so that everybody is aware of where I'm sitting at, I have +3 to all saves and an armor class of 24.
The Malik is, or rather the party, as Malik is showing off his new wares, is going to notice...
That was out of character. I'm just saying, like, I'm virtually unkillable at this point.
Well, I'm just saying, the party now, as you guys are walking around with Malik for the rest of the day, are going to notice...
She's not going to walk around with him. She's walking away.
Okay, everybody else is going to notice Malik's armor now has a X on the front and one on the back.
So again, what?
Malik's armor has a X on the front, which it's had there for as long as Roak has known Malik. It has had a blood red X painted on it, like as a symbol across the chest piece. Now there is one on the front and on the back.
Is Malik aware of that?
No, nobody's ever pointed it out to him.
Shut the one.
And Malik cannot see his back.
What is this symbol?
What symbol?
It is a red X on your back. Pokes it with his staff. Right here.
That's probably nothing.
Could I roll some kind of check to see if I've ever seen this symbol before?
You can.
Okay. In preparation to do this, I'm going to cast the cantrip guidance on myself.
Are you Kanye West? Can you give yourself guidance?
I'm going to look it up.
You can just go ahead and roll the check. I'll read it. I'm pretty sure you can.
Touch one willing creature.
Yeah. Just rub yourself centrally, and then there you go.
Alright. I'm sorry, what type of check was it again?
It is a history check. See if you've ever seen it before, or you can roll Arcana to see if you can recognize any effects similar to it.
Well, that's a -1 out of the way, so... and my D4... No. What happened to my dice roll thing? Yeah. 5.
Woo! It's scratching at the plate.
I gotta say, I've been playing D&D for a few years now, and I gotta say, that's impressive.
I have a -1.
Yeah, scratching at the plate. It looks like it's painted on there, but it is not paint, and it doesn't seem to be chipping off. It doesn't seem overtly magical, but yeah, that's what your Arcana check is able to tell you.
I keep poking at it. Blemish. Drawback thirsts. When do I eat?
Can Malik take an Arcana check to see if he knows anything about red X's showing up on armor where they're not supposed to?
Yes, he can.
Alrighty.
This is what you get for having IAC.
That's actually a 23. I've yet to go in and add the +1 to ability checks.
Okay. Malik hasn't. Malik has read about this back when from his classes at the university. Sometimes the people of Ardor, the ones who can't keep up with the rest of the world, rather than forging magically forging armor, they will ask their gods to bless it instead.
Mm-hmm.
And and that blessing works as long as the person wearing the armor acts in alignment with the god that blessed it.
Okay, but this is mundane full plate.
You bought it off of a dead man.
Huh. So what you're saying is I've got magical full plate here.
You've got blessed full plate.
Okay, I remember looking at the blessed modifier in your homebrew content. I don't remember exactly what it does, but I remember I didn't like it.
Yes, Malik has been wearing this stuff for sessions and sessions and sessions and sessions. There have only been 2 events he's done that's picked up any type of discouragement by the god who blessed it. So,
okay. Alright, so in game terms, how is this going to affect me?
As far as Malik knows, the armor doesn't seem to be conferring any benefits. So in his mind, it could be, you know, that perhaps the armor does more if he does, you know, things that the god likes. And that it just doesn't do anything that in the reverse direction.
Let me ask you this: can I roll either an intelligence or a history check to recall which deity blessed this?
Guidance.
Yes, you can.
History or intelligence?
History. You, as a combination of the two, actually, you can remember that the old man who sold this to you said his son, whose spirit he asked you to honor, doing something great in the armor, worshipped Galesong, the chaotic good god of storms.
Let me just reread what Galesong's tenets are.
Useful.
I mean, you'd be surprised at how chaotic Malik has been.
I mean, I'm not, but...
Am I surprised? Are we really surprised?
I just need to remember what Galesong specifically preaches. I know it... I know how Tristan acts in regards to that. Actually, should I roll a religion check to see if Malik is even familiar with Galesong, other than on a name basis? I could probably do that.
Yeah.
Here we go. 15, not bad.
Yeah, Malik. Malik would know that's one of the.
Tonight.
That's one of the 4 ascended. The wind one, and he helped people mostly. Probably.
Okay.
He also, and this is from Malik's lessons, back in Ilderon, he also set his own fortress on fire as a military tactic. Malik is able to confer that he is chaotic nice.
Okay, so
Probably.
basically, I just need to, like, earn some good karma and disavow the 5th Ascendant. I'm gonna go somewhere. Actually, I'm gonna take that merchant out for a couple of drinks and regale her with some tales that don't involve me murdering city guards.
You want to hear about this one time I killed a pagan demigod?
That's actually not a bad idea for to talk about.
He ain't even lying.
But no, he'll start small with I come from
Land down under.
Hey, Brendan.
Yes.
Hey, Brendan. Can I give him a wingman bonus?
Wesley.
I'm frying up some chicken tonight.
Yeah, that one hurt me too. However,
Physical illness, man.
yeah. Roak can join them.
No. Guidance.
Going.
Guidance.
Guidance.
I'm gonna spam the fuck out of that cantrip. It's too good.
Yeah, it is amazing.
I'm gonna be the bard of the party.
My
What's
PayPal
Soulmane doing?
Actually rolled up a bard.
He wants to look for a blacksmith or someone who can take his Valpyr rapier. Basically, what I want to do is I want to have it so it can also secrete poison. So he wants to upgrade it.
So, that is a very, very lofty idea, and it would take a very good smith to do that with steel. However, and I'm just, saving you the time of, like, this world. Doing that with, Valpyr would be nigh impossible. It's, like trying to work, it's like, once the metal is set, it is incredibly difficult to retemper it or, be able to, like, fashion it intricately again. However, if you...
Excellent.
So there's no way someone could, like, stick a mechanism in the handle for it? I'm just wondering.
Yeah, somebody could tinker with it. If you wanted something like that instead. Using poison, though, this edition, I'm pretty sure there are traits for it. Let me look at how it works. Let's see.
If it's not possible, that's fine.
Poisoner's Kit. Yeah, you can pick up training in eventually learn how to use a Poisoner's Kit, which includes the necessary items for applying poison to a weapon.
Might I offer a suggestion?
Shoot.
Sure.
What kind of weapon is this again?
It's a Valpyr rapier.
And you want it to do what?
Basically secrete poison, so when I attack with it...
Might I suggest, instead of augmenting the rapier itself, you augment its scabbard.
That's not a bad idea. Basically,
So that-
just have like a canister of poison that it's dipped into whenever it's sheathed.
Maybe like I would personally, how I might do it is something like a felt liner, where you could drop in, if it's the poison is in oil form, you could line the inside of the scabbard with it. So when the oil comes in contact with the metal, it's coated.
Would that be something feasible to do, Brandon?
Yeah, getting somebody to make a scabbard like that for you.
Yeah.
You'd still have to apply the poison to the scabbard when necessary.
Yeah, I figure I'd also look for... I don't know if this place would be one to be able to find some kind of poisons. Seems like maybe because it's a...
Oh yeah.
major port.
Yeah, Gwir, you would be able to find poisoners here. Easy peasy.
Carpenter could make scabbard.
I guess for brevity's sake, how much would customizing the rapier's scabbard and one bottle of poison cost?
Let me look at the crafting downtime. It's like you expend 5 gold a day. Skilled person with it. With an apprentice. To make something that fine, it would take a averaged skilled carpenter 4 days to make something like that. Expending the materials necessary.
Alright, something to think for in the future then. And I guess... I'll look around, see if there's anything that would pique my interests throughout the stalls.
Okay. What's Soulmane interested in?
Murder.
Nice.
I don't know, maybe like... There is actually one thing I was looking for specifically, but I don't know if it's something I could find.
I gotta go. Bye.
Alright, enjoy your night. We will be finishing up very shortly.
Yep.
No fallout.
If Elsie's gonna do anything, she's gonna give Malik the cold shoulder and just glare at him. You started something, Malik.
Oh, I'm fully aware. The player
Yeah.
is aware of what is happening.
Yeah? Is Malik aware of that?
Less so.
Oh, this is gonna be fun. Good night.
Alright. Let's see. As far as murder goes, you're able to find a lot here, especially in Gwir. People are selling all types of trophies. and hunting items.
You talking to me?
No, I was talking to Anthony for Soulmane.
I'll be right back then.
This is gonna be a really random thing to see if there's here, but do they have like a bag or bags of tricks around, anything like that?
The magical bags of tricks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll you a percentage die. Yes, today in the market you are able to find somebody selling such an item. I need to double check it though because it has been forever since I've used one of these things.
It comes in 3 different varieties.
Yeah, that's what I remember that. That's why I was looking at which one it was. All right, it is made from rust cloth, and it the person has that and several other charms and trinkets, including a belt he claims that can allow the user to control fire with his mind, and a spear that he claims will never lose a fight.
A sphere?
I'm sorry, a spearhead.
A spearhead that will never lose a fight.
Yes.
Soulmane will look at the gentleman. How much for the bag?
He is gonna stare straight into Soulmane's eyes for what seems to be a awkward eternity, and then stand up very swiftly and say, "Ha, 700 gold? Yes, yes, yes."
No.
700 for a rust-covered bag? That seems quite high, don't you think?
He shakes his head and says, "No, no, no. Traveled far to get this from rugs of the Kayak Empire. Crafted it is. Good, good, good."
Soulmane will lean down at him. I'll give you 350.
He shakes his head and says, "No, no, no. Crown would have head for this. Mine it be."
Can I do an insight to see if he's actually legitimate on his statements about going far and actually being worried about someone coming after him?
Yes, you can. You have advantage.
Oh, I do? Sweet.
Yes. Very specifically, when he mentions the crown would have his head, Soulmane has had experience with them in the past. With the people who raised him, the crown had half of their heads.
Oh, so We're at feud with them then.
Yes. There is half of your faction is controlled by the crown. The other half fled them.
Soulmane is gonna or whisper into the gentleman's ear. And this is intimidation. We will not speak of the crown and will not know I was here. And you will sell me this bag. Intimidation?
No, you don't have to roll intimidation for that. He says, yes, 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 I will sell you bag, but crown I do not speak of with such brevity and lightness. Not friends, not friends, not friends.
They're not my friends either.
He nods eagerly and says, 680 coins of worth. We become friends. Yes, yes, we become friends.
Soulmane will smile and say, friends, yes, but today's sale, unfortunately, cannot be done. Maybe in another day.
He shakes his head and says, I take of worth. Of worth you have rubies?
Out of character, the only gold I have is the 500 I was just given.
Ah,
I don't know
okay.
Because I was never given, like, gold outside of, like, the payment from the job, and I didn't know what I had.
You have, did you pick your starting items off the thing?
I did.
Yeah, you had those and your starting gear.
Alright. And that's the other thing I wasn't sure of, but since I was paid to go to the capital, would I have actually more gold?
Yeah, from, Elena,
From the raid, yeah.
Yeah, from that, she would, have probably said something like, oh, I'll double what I'm paying you, once you come up north with me. Yeah, but she, did not have any more gold on her.
I meant, like, from the actual raid, I didn't know if I was paid for that time or not.
No, Soulmane was not.
I'll be back again, my friend, but not this day.
The man nods eagerly and says, I haggle with not friends of crown.
Oh. If you're willing to haggle, I'll give you 400. And if you need a favor in the city while I'm here, I will see that I do what I can.
He points at you and says, you, and runs his finger across his neck and goes, yeah?
Soulmane just kind of nonchalantly reveals his rapier at his side.
He nods and points to the squeezeway. Wait, is that it? Oh, nope, I'm sorry. He points to Southport and says the Morning Falcon. I stay, I sleep. You sleep too? Yes?
Once in a while.
Yes, at sleep night. See me. Yes. He hands Soulmane the bag of tricks and puts his hand out for payment.
He hands him the 400.
All right. You met old strange foreigner. That is what you can write him down as.
I'm happy.
Alright, and we are going to end there, or do you guys want to find someplace to stay while you're in the city? Or no, we'll end there and we'll pick up on nightfall of this day. Because I don't want to make decisions for other people's characters. Alright. So, yeah, you guys have... Thought I'd give you a more flexible timeline for Elena to move around. You guys have 10 days before you have to do anything for her. Which 10 days lets you do pretty much... let's see... From where you're at, 1, 2, 3, 4. You guys can go anywhere, and about that region right there. And if you guys hustle nonstop from Kalu, take a ship from Gwir that hustles nonstop to Westwind, and or not Westwind, Northwind, and hike from Northwind to the Earthfire that you're supposed to be at. That would be the maximum journey that you guys can take in that time. So you guys can go anywhere in that space, and 5 days travel out, and then from there would be 5 days travel towards the Flame Gate. So anyways, you got most of the country that you can go mess around in and do stuff in. Good session tonight.
Sure that's a good idea, giving us that much free range?
No, it is not. But we will see what happens. But yeah, good session tonight. I'm going to flat out for your introductory session of just 1,500 experience across the board. And then you guys asked Elena what...
Can I get you to type that? My internet is being funky. I can hear every other word.
Okay. Then you guys asked Elena what she was up to, what she told you, which was pretty big. So I'm going to give you guys additional 200 experience for committing to her storyline beyond just, I guess we'll travel with you. So 1,700 tonight for everybody.
Anything bonus for beating up the dwarf lady?
I'll give you inspiration for that.
Aha! Inspiration for stabbing a bitch.
And also inspiration for Roak tonight.
Oh.
Partly on the on the conversations between the Fourth Ascended and him of just, hey, you're the Prince of Darkness, right? Don't you want to be the God of Darkness? Yes, I am all.
Good. Is it
So
bad I
let's
just
see.
picture him as like C. Montgomery Burns with talons?
I don't know who that is.
Simpsons?
The rich guy from The Simpsons.
Oh. Not wrong, really.
Alright, your guys' next
Speak
session's
to
on the
my
5th.
Lacking.